What's up, everybody? John Eric Pola here from MyMMANews, and today's guest just picked up a big win over the weekend at UFC Vegas 14. I'm talking to Ashley Yoder, who got a win over Miranda Granger. Their fight was supposed to headline the prelims. Things got shuffled around. They ended up being on the main card. We're going to talk about all of that here. So let's bring Ashley in here. Ashley, how you doing? I can tell that it's warm out there in sunny California, so I'm very jealous.
I know. I love the sun. I'm so grateful to be back home with my puppy. So, yeah, it was like 80 degrees. The sun is a different animal here. Like, you go in the sun, it could be winter, and you're like, this isn't winter.
Well, it's funny because you're out there in a tank top, and here I am dressed like Ted Bundy in a courtroom here with a turtleneck on, and there was snow this morning here in Pennsylvania, but hey, whatever. We're here to talk about the fight. That's the main thing rather than the weather. We're not meteorologists, so why don't we start breaking down some of the fight here from over the weekend. So, why don't you, I guess, put the fight into, take us through it through your eyes. It was a hard-fought fight. You and Miranda, put on some great work there. Ultimately, you were able to pull away there in the third round. So just go ahead and kind of give us the breakdown of the fight through your eyes.
Yeah, it definitely was. I wasn't very happy with my performance originally. I'm pretty hard on myself. I felt like, coming off two losses, I was playing a little too safe in the first two rounds. But going into the third, I kind of just like, we got to let them know why I want to be here. So I just kind of brought it the third, but should have probably, not probably, I should have turned it up in the beginning. But, that's just another lesson learned. And now we kind of have that weight off our shoulders. I feel like I could be more myself in my next fight.
Yeah, it was something that I wanted to actually ask you about. I was going to ask you about that a little bit later on because following your fight, you went to your post-fight interviews, and like I said, you're hard on yourself, like you just mentioned there. Is that something that, I know a lot of fighters are that way, that you guys are kind of like your own worst critic from time to time. Like, were you really that upset afterwards, or not? Have you been able to watch things back and that you kind of feel better about yourself after the fight?
Man, I did rewatch it. I really was. I'm so grateful for the win, though. It was such a relief. I just know I'm better, and I want to prove it. So I think every athlete that's in the UFC feels the same way. We're our hardest critics. There were good things that happened. Playing a little too safe is something that I don't really like to live my life by. So I didn't get my name Spider Monkey by not being Spider Monkey. So, some of the transitions were a little bit slow. I was being a little bit over cautious about losing position. So there's a couple positions that normal Ashley would probably scrambled a little bit more, threw a little bit more punches in the first and second. But, overall, yeah, I'm not going to go completely Debbie Downer. I am glad that I got to show off a little bit of my skills throughout the fight, especially in the third, and just showing you how bad I want to be there. I really wanted to finish, and it was close, but cigar, right? So we're striving for that.
So when you were making the walk out to the octagon there, when I was watching the fight, Michael Bisping was doing the commentary. And first of all, I just want to say I absolutely love Michael Bisping. He was a hell of a fight. I really enjoyed watching him then, but I really like his commentary work as well. And when you were making the walk out there, Bisping was saying how he felt that the key to victory for you was going to be to utilize your wrestling and to really get into those grappling exchanges and whatnot. Well, turns out Michael Bisping's one hell of an analyst. He was right on the money there because that was ultimately the way how you ended up getting the victory. I just wanted to know, was Bisping right there? Was that the game plan coming in for you, that you were going to look to utilize your wrestling and grappling that much?
I really embrace MMA as a total. I started it all together. I'd never had any other background in a single discipline. So, but my wrestling, I think, has really started coming together since I've been in the UFC. There was times before, when I started fighting that I couldn't even get a takedown. So I really am focus on my jiu-jitsu a lot of the times because, that's where that's where I love to be. But, at the same time, I've been working really hard on my striking. It's just trying to bring it all together. And I have confidence in my whole arsenal that I can survive and, get a win with either. So, of course, people know that I love jiu-jitsu and I love the ground. So I think, my nickname pretty much gives that away. But if you watched any of my fights, you would know I like the ground the most, but I definitely don't mind a bang either. So
So now your corner, when you were heading out into that final round, what was the message there? Did you guys have it scored 1-1, or did you think that it was close enough that you really needed to go out there and really put it on her in that final round?
Yeah, I think it was. I think maybe one of my coaches said it was 1-1, but in my head, I already knew it was probably 1-1. And in my third round, I'm like, I've been here so many times, and we were counting earlier in the week. Like I've spent over almost 3 hours in the octagon just in my UFC fights, not counting Ultimate Fighter. So I've spent a lot of time in there, and I just wanted to show that I can bring it. And I deserve to be here. So I just want to show in that third round that this is what I should have been doing in the first 2 rounds, but better late than never.
So now, when you ultimately went out there for that final round, then obviously the message, going in that you need that final round. You really put it on her that round. I believe all three of the judges maybe even giving it to you 10-8. Just what was it about that final round that you were able to finally just kind of, tie everything together and ultimately pull away and put on such a dominant round in that third and final round?
I just let it go, man. I think that's one of my biggest problems I've had over the years is just being too safe. And going into that third, I was like, man, we gotta let it loose. We just gotta let it go. So, and that's it. Everything presented itself. Things opened up. I was throwing a knee to the body. I slid to knee on belly. Then I saw an armbar position from Mount, and she almost, walking up the cage. I just had to really stay calm and get a better position so I didn't lose that position. But I saw an armbar from the top, and I was like, don't risk it. Let's just keep just working until I get something that will open up that will allow me to stay on top. So position before submission, right? But and it did. And it's just something I've been trying to work, bringing that a little bit earlier. So I think it's showing that if I can bring it in the third, I definitely can bring it in the first. I just need to get that going.
So now after we just got done breaking down your performance a little bit here, I want to ask you about just Miranda as an opponent because she did a hell of a job out there as well too. It was a very good competitive fight. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Miranda, maybe some of the things that you thought she brought to the octagon that night.
Miranda's such a talented girl. Every interview I had, I feel like I didn't really know who she was until we got the fight. So I had to do some research. But going into like interviews and fight week, they were like, there is a lot of people that really like her, and they're like, she's not to be overlooked. She was undefeated until her last fight, or so I knew it was going to be a tough fight, and it was even going to be more interesting to have someone my size to compete against. Usually we're towering these girls in this division, so she's very tough opponent. I think she protected herself well in the positions that she had, and there was no quit in her. After the fight, our exchange, she had commented that she was a fan of mine, and it was like kind of surreal because I feel like I'm still new in the sport, and I know this sounds crazy, but I just told her we're both have the same level of experience. You just got to keep grinding, my girl. You're doing great. So that was a little bit of exchange that we had at the end of the fight. So yeah, she's a great person, great fighter, and she's gonna come back and be stronger. So.
I'm really glad that you brought all that up too, because I was actually going to follow up with a lot of that there, because I got to speak to Miranda before you guys fought, and she was saying exactly all of that there, just about how big of a fan she was of yours and everything else. So I guess with that being said, though, what's that like, for you, knowing that you have this impact on a younger generation of fighters like that?
It's awesome. It's funny because my last fight, Lavinia told me that after the fight too. She said, you were my favorite on Tough. And, it's crazy to hear these kind of things because, like, I'm just kind of like the little person in the back, like, hey, I'm just trying to peek my way through, guys. Come on, let me just fight. So it's such a humbling and amazing experience to have people that you can look up to. That's that's the sportsmanship that I love about our sport. It can be the most gnarly sport, but, you see us hugging it out and holding hands and, after the final bell rings, and I think it's really important for people to see that sportsmanship. It's not as gnarly as most people think. So
now, obviously, you just fought back. I believe it was in August on the Stipe DC card. Now you just fought again in October. I know you want to be active. Just how active are we talking here? When are we going to see you back inside the octagon again?
Well, I have plans. I get to go home once a year, so I do want to be active. They called me and said, you had a fight before I go home, I would take that. So I go home like December 18th. But, if that isn't the case, which, you never know what can happen. I'm healthy right now. So if that were the case, I would jump on the opportunity. But if not, my coach goes home back to Brazil for about a month. He hasn't been home in 5 years. So he's my main guy. So hopefully I'm looking for at the beginning of the year, maybe February, middle of February, end of February time, just to get back in there. So give me an opportunity to kind of dig my learning back into getting a better striking and checking leg kicks, because I don't know if you saw, but I had to do burpees at the end of the fight. Win, lose, or draw, I had to do those because I didn't check any leg kicks. So lesson learned.
Is that from your coach? Your coach made you do burpees like that?
It was told me. He told me in the back when we were warming up, if you don't bleep in check a leg kick, win, lose, or draw, I don't care how hurt you are, you're going to be doing burpees in the octagon. And I didn't check. So thankfully I won, though. That would have been awful if I was like cut up bleeding, like flopping around on the ground.
So, it's funny not to say that your coach made you do burpees. I was going to ask you something else about your coach, though, too, because I know you said before we came on air here that you were doing media rounds all day today, one of which was with James Lynch. James is a friend of ours here at MyMMANews. He does some work for us as well. I know he interviewed you earlier, and he had something up. Did your coach bet on you to win the fight or something like that, and he made you go and get the money for it?
Yeah, so crazy story. And so originally, before the card got all turned around, I was supposed to be fighting at like 3. So my coach he competes this week in Atlanta for the Pan Ams, no-gi Pan Ams for IBJJF. So he wanted to come home as soon as my fight was done so he could rest and get ready for another week of traveling and competing next week. So he knows I hate when people bet on me. I know they're going to do it. It's fine. Like, I just don't want to, I don't want that on my conscience, right? So I've had some of my teammates bet on me and win a lot of money. And then, then again, I'm like, they're like, you lost me this. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. They're like, you're so close. So I never want to know. So anyways, I was going in through medicals and my coach was like, Ashley, I have to go. And he has a really thick Brazilian accent and he hands me these crumbled up papers. Take these and go get my money. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I bet on you. Go get your money. So I'm like, oh my gosh, why would you do that? So he has all these papers, right? I go to the casino because I was going to come home immediately. I'm still hair braided. Of course, my hair's still braided. And these people are like, spider monkey, like when I'm trying to be at the booking, like to get the money back. And they're like, man, you must be really confident in yourself that you're betting on yourself. And I was like, I definitely was not betting on myself. So I'm not a douche, but I also, my coach did this and he made me come get the money and I told him not to bet on me. They're like, you're out, like they were so excited, but it was really funny because they were like, thought I bet on myself. I was like, no, I didn't bet on myself. But yeah, so it was quite the, it's funny, like even when you go there, I could have picked these up off the ground and cashed them in. They didn't ask for ID or anything. They just handed me a bunch of cash. I was like, okay. Yeah. But I gave it to my coach. He deserved it.
I say there's nothing wrong with getting free cash if that's the case, though. So, Ash, I do want to bring your attention to one thing. Prior to the fight, I saw on your Instagram, maybe it was about 4 days or so before the fight, you had I believe it was a friend of yours passed away. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that and about that post that you had up on your Instagram.
Yeah, so I found out on, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, one of our teammates from my jiu-jitsu academy had, actually he goes to both my gyms, really sweet guy. I just posted a really funny video, just kind of give you a personality of what he was like. He passed, it just comes down to like, having mental health issues right now, especially during these times. Like, I think one of the biggest thing is getting help. If you don't feel like someone's helping you and you try to get help, go somewhere else. As much as I want to say we're all in this together, there's people fighting. They've already been fighting demons, right? We all have certain demons that we fight, but this just puts the hope for our future is, it's so unknown and it doesn't really validate a promise that things are going to get better when we don't even know, like we're locked down one day, it's open one day. And, this man is an amazing teacher. He was a school teacher, a math teacher, amazing, funny dancer, funny guy, just trying to live. And, he was really struggling. So, no one, of course, knew. We don't know how much someone is that in that dark space. But, the biggest thing is just loving. We got to love, and I'm trying to get my thoughts clearly processed without getting emotional. But yeah, I've had a lot of losses in my life, and it's not any easier. So.
Well, my condolences, and that was a very nice message that you gave to everybody. And I only have like two other things here for you, so I guess let's end on a bit happier of a note here. One thing that you mentioned, how you wanted to go back home. Your home's in Indiana, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you went to Indiana University, right? Hoosiers? I want to ask, just because college football season, it's going on right now. Indiana, undefeated. How about that?
Yeah. It's actually insane because if you had said that about our basketball team all day, our basketball team has always been really great. Football, not so much, but I'm so proud of them. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was very happy when they beat Penn State too, because where I'm at in northeastern Pennsylvania, you're either a Penn State fan or you're a Notre Dame fan. I went the Notre Dame route, and now as I've gotten older, I really don't, I should say that I don't care about college football, but definitely kind of the love for it has kind of shifted away. So I really don't mind if Penn State wins or loses, but all my fellow Notre Dame fans are really happy with it. So I guess I'll celebrate to Indiana beating them this year. Actually, one other thing too that I have to ask you, and I'm actually gonna, my camera's over here, and actually face that towards you with the computer here, because I know you probably can't see this, but I'm gonna reach over here.
Let's take a picture of Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
It is. I'm a huge Joanna fan, and I wanted to ask you because on Talk you were on her team, correct?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know, like, what was it like getting to interact with Joanna on that show and learning from her back when she was on Champ on Top of the World there, and she still is one of the top strawweights in the world, even though she doesn't hold the belt.
Yeah, man. Joanna is someone special that I will always hold dear in my heart. I feel like the show, when it was actually edited and shown on TV, didn't really show how much she really cared and invested in our team. She was making sure we were running every day. She was really she was very present and she cared, She also beat our ass. She was, you want to be a UFC fighter? And I was like, never so terrified in my life. But, those things happen. And I think she's just such a great role model. Like, I love, I also love Rose, but, I really love JJ. I loved that, how much she cared. And just her mentality is like so strong. Like, even after losing and coming back, you can see it. She has such a strong mentality. She's got that Polish power. So she's amazing. And it was a journey of a lifetime, and I will never, ever replace it for anything. I hold it dear in my heart forever. So some of my best friends I made on that show. And, to this day, I still talk to Joanna. So I have a big picture of her that they weren't supposed to give me. That was in the warm-up room, workout room that you see on TV before we walk out. And they're like, yeah, you can't have any of these. And I was like, well, what if I drive back to Vegas? And she just grabs a marker and starts signing my name on it. And she's like, now it's hers. Her name's on it. And I'm like, so I drove back to Vegas, and it was the Conor versus Diaz one. So they let us go to the fight that night, and I got my big Joanna picture. It's actually in my house, and it's signed to me from her. So it was crazy, but yeah, it was quite the experience, and she's amazing.
Yeah, she really is, and she's on my bucket list. If I could interview like any fighter ever, it would be her. I'm determined that one day I am going to get to interview her. One of the things that I really like about her too is we know that she's this badass fighter, but she's such a sweetheart too. She does a lot for kids with cancer and everything else. So and like you were saying, how she had this badass side to her where she was so tough on you guys, making sure that you guys are ready to be UFC caliber. But did you guys get to see that sweeter side of her as well? See how the good work
100%. You could see the hurt in her when we lost. She took it personal. She was, like I said, like it's the show doesn't depict it. They always have the good guy and the bad guy, and like I think they tried to make her out to look like the bad guy because she's such a strong personality. But she absolutely cared about every single one of us so much. So yeah, I'm grateful.
All right, Ashley, it's been a pleasure here talking with you. One last thing before you roll out, you want to plug your social media, management, sponsors, anything like that, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, huge shout out to my management, Iridium Sports. I'm always on Instagram, so if you need a laugh, just go to Spider Monkey Yoda. And then, Ashley Yoder MMA for Twitter and Facebook. So thank you for my team. I'm so grateful. Team Quest, Dan Henderson's at the Fitness Center. Check them out, RFBJJ, CSA up north, and Coach K and all the team and all the girls that have invested in time in me. I'm just so grateful for every single person that has given me this opportunity to be able to get this win. So I have a Brian Kane is my mental coach that I hired for this camp, and he's been such a huge influence and just an amazing part of my growth. So yeah, I'm just really grateful, and I'm happy to be home with my puppies, and grateful for this opportunity to be able to get interviewed. So thank you so much.
Ashley, no problem at all. Thank you for the time. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to do the interview. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back over here as soon as we get done doing this here and put it back on my shelf here on the set. But like I said, appreciate the time, and I appreciate all of you guys watching these videos as well. So just remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see more videos like this, and keep checking out My MMA News as well.